speed is important, but talent development, that mindset change that talent needs, particularly at the leadership level, I think is one of the most critical things that we focus on here at Frontgrade. The biggest opportunity, if you really want to be successful, is focus on your leadership abilities. Those tough experiences are what really you're going to have to rely on.
Today, we've got Mitch Stevison, President and CEO of Frontgrade, in our studio. Mitch's impressive career spans from 20 years in the U.S. Army to leading multi-billion-dollar divisions at Raytheon and Mercury before taking the helm at Frontgrade. There, he's pioneering high-reliability electronics for the most demanding environments in space and defense. We'll explore space as a multifunction domain, discuss the shift from traditional defense to commercial innovation, and learn how to build teams that excel in this ever-changing industry. Welcome, Mitch.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, Catherine. Look forward to sharing a few moments with you here this morning.
Definitely. Well, I've been really excited about this interview now. Starting off, take me from your career journey from the Army to leading Frontgrade now. How did that develop?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could go back and really tell you that I had a distinct plan to do all of this, but I really didn't. And I think most executives would tell you that. I never could have imagined when I enlisted in the Army back in the early 80s that, I would be here at this point in my career. But, it really has been a journey of development. I mean, that is the key for me, of just learning along the way. I've always been intrigued about new things, and challenges has always been something that I haven't, shirked away from. So, the career journey in the Army, though, was formative for me. It really focused in my leadership, thought process about teams and building teams, about being a leader that can deal with different contingencies, whether early in my career in the operational areas or later in my career as a research and development officer. It really formulated how I think about leadership today in the industry context of what I do. So it has been a marvelous journey. I've been very fortunate with a lot of good mentors and people that have taken interest in my career, which is something that I think that all executives would share, their backgrounds, would say that there's always those mentors that have made you better and have challenged you to do more. And that's been a key part of the evolution, both in the military as well as in industry.
Mm-hmm. So this theme of mentorship, who was your first mentor and how did it influence you?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I can remember mentors, and there is there are various types of mentors. There's formal mentors and there's informal mentors.
Right. And I feel like so often when we talk about mentorship, people think that you have to ask somebody, like going on a date, like, will you be my mentor? But I think for most execs, it's a much more natural development.
That is so true. I can tell you, in my career, I have never went to one person and say, "Will you be my mentor?"
Well, then you got the rejection factor. It's like asking a girl out to a dance, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it all mentorships evolve through relationships and getting to know someone and understanding. I mean, look, I've had people come to me and say, "I'd like you to mentor me," and I usually ask the question, why, and we go through those reasons why. But
Mitch Stevison, why'd you pick me?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, yeah, but for me, it was more about the relationships. But you asked about the first mentor, and I will go back to this when I was an enlisted person. I was in Germany in the United States Army, and this non-commissioned officer, his name was Skip Cochran. We'll never forget it. He just looked at me.
Cochran.
Yeah. He just looked at me and he said, Mitch, what you really need to do is watch every leader that you come in contact with, replicate the things that you think are good about them. And most importantly, avoid the things that you think are bad about them. That was my first real
don't need
engagement.
to be original. Just follow what's good and don't do what's bad. That's really good advice.
Yeah. And look, for me, it has been probably early in my career more about looking at leaders and saying, look, every leader has good qualities and bad qualities, but understand what turns people off and try to avoid those things and then accentuate those things that are good. But too often leaders just, they focus on, well, this is what I need to do. This is the positive side of it. But we need to focus on as leaders what we don't need to do. And that's the toughest thing, I think, in leadership is what are you not going to do and what are you not going to replicate that has not been successful for others, and don't retread that ground again.
Yeah. So pay just as much attention to the things that don't work as the things that do. That's interesting. I want to hit, because we're talking about your Army career too. You're now at a firm that does a lot in the commercial space, and there's been this huge cultural transition from DoD strategy to commercial. What do you think is the biggest mindset adjustment that leaders need to be able to navigate that shift?
You know, number one, the mindset, shift from traditional defense work into more commercialized aspects of that, whether it's and it can be in any domain, by the way. I don't think that space is unique with respect to how you have to shift your mindset on the commercial aspects of what, are going on today in defense. It really needs to be lean on your experience in defense. Don't forget that is invaluable experience, but don't use it as a crutch in making decisions later on with respect to the commercial abilities that companies can have. Even traditional defense companies being much more risk adverse. In the traditional defense systems, you have to be a little bit more open to risk. You have to be a little bit more market focused versus program specific focus. And those are the things that I try to coach our leaders here at Frontgrade on almost daily to say, look, we need to blend the best of what we know in our commercial business, in our defense business. Don't forget the heritage. Don't forget where we came from, but we must be much more open to taking risk. It needs to be prudent risk. It can't be silly risk, but we need to be much more open to that. And then the biggest thing I think about the shift is be market driven. Don't be reactionary to the next program that you think is going to get funded. Because if you're waiting for that funding to happen on the program, you're already too late to really engage in a meaningful way. When you hear the Department of Defense and the commercial market saying we got to go faster, we have to be more innovative. And I think that is the biggest downfall of more traditional defense companies today is they sit around and they're watching for that next program funding drop to happen before they make a decision on where they're going. Commercially, we want to think more about what's the market trends. Let's build our products around those market trends, and then we can alter them for the specific defense programs that come along with the funding and in the chaos that we're seeing in the ecosystem today.
Chaos is probably the right word for it. Okay, so the first thing about that is you said, I see so often from a defense mindset, not being aggressive enough and not taking on that risk. How do you think that develops for most people in the defense? And then how do you get over that?
Yeah. Well, look, for those of us who were brought up in the technical domains, primarily in defense, everything is about any failure is a bad failure. I mean, that's just the mindset that is
Yeah, it's
created
not a Bay
from day one.
Area fail fast, fail quick, that type of mindset at all. You're right.
Absolutely right. I mean, those words are said a lot, but the reality is people through their careers have been, held back because of taking risk and failing.
Yeah. You
Where
get penalized for failure because there's major consequences.
That's right, and it put people in a box, and so it created a whole culture around that of I'm going to analyze things to death. I'm going to
Don't
delay it,
mess up.
right? Or I'm going to delay a decision, or I'm going to wait for somebody else to make the decision because I don't want to put my badge on the table here to say I'm going to move this program forward or this capability forward. So that's where the heritage of all of this um,
Yeah, that's
risk
really
aversion.
interesting, that chain of command. Like, I'll let somebody else make that decision as being the flip side in a commercial environment where it doesn't work as well.
Yeah, I mean, you really are. Again, it's that market focus, and if you're not the first to be out there with a product, a technology, a capability, you're going to lose market share. So you really have to be out there with it. And look, you're going to. I tell our investors all the time, we're going to swing and miss on a few of these, but we're also going to have some unicorns that are just going to be better than we could ever have ever expected because of market share that we can capture early in the cycle of development and early in the cycle of production. And look, our customers today, whether it's commercial or whether it is defense, they all have the same thing in common. They're making more selections based on your maturity and your readiness versus your technology that can be there in 5 years. They want the capabilities today, and how fast can we get those to them? And that's the beauty of the commercial market, is those tech things and those future things are being worked on internal dollars, bringing products to bear, and having very mature high TRL capabilities as early in the process as important is what's going to get you an outsized share of the market.
Be quick, be ready.
Be quick, be ready. Exactly.
So historically, when we went out for BD searches, we knew the average time to close on a deal with defense was 18 months to 3 years, which seems like eons now. In terms of timeline, what would you expect your own team to have in terms of being quick?
Yeah. So, there's kind of two parts of our business, just to be very clear. We have a part of our business, which is what I characterize as our tier 4 business. It's more components and small subsystems. And then we have, our tier 3 business, which is more integrated solution kind of capabilities. And so there's two distinct pieces there. I mean, look at our components business. We say all the time, from quote to actual deal, we want it to be 2 to 3 months. I mean, it's got to be that fast. I mean, so we want to be able to, when someone comes to us,
Gone are the 2 to 3 year cycles.
Yeah. I mean, at least in that part of the business. Now, look, on this more solutions oriented part of the business, you're still looking at timelines there that can, go 6, 12 months. But we are trying to push that down. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to push our business to get, to a measure of success for us, let me just say it this way, would be reduce the number of proposals that we're doing for big integrated solutions and increase the number of quotes that we're doing, where we just say, we have a standard product, we can quote it for you, here it is, and we can give that to you in a matter of months and not years. And that's part of the measure of success. Now, some of our customers aren't ready for that. I mean, let's just be very clear. They still want the full proposal. They want to know ins and outs and risk and cost details and all of those things. But I'm hoping as the commercial markets more define what the defense ecosystem can do, that we see that willingness to accept quick quotes and move out more quickly increase dramatically. And matter of fact, we're betting on that because our IRAD, we're investing a lot more internally to be able to meet those kind of demands.
Mm-hmm. What would you expect any senior level exec in our industry to be shooting for from quote to delivery?
Yeah. Again, I think that, there's various sizes and forms of that, but, again, back to our tier 4 business, we actually are doing advanced procurements of materials so we can meet those needs much quicker. And we're trying to, again, look at the market and say, what do we think the market is going to do and predict that. But in that case, I'm looking at quote to delivery 6 weeks or less. I mean, that's where we're really out there. In the tier 3, more solutions part of our business, I would like, those periods of performance from the time we propose or quote something to the time we deliver to be in that 6 to 12 month range. And in our total period of performance, 18 months or less. I mean, that is important in a commercially mindset, for a commercial mindset, in that we are investing up front. So we need those quick turns to be able to, I had a conversation once with one of my military customers years ago at Raytheon, and I was trying to, we were arguing about, profit on a contract. And it was a great open debate about, well, you should be less expensive and, this and that. And then I was like, look, here's the deal. I'll take less profit. I mean, I absolutely will take less profit, but I need to turn every dollar of my investment way faster than you, the government, are willing to allow us to go. So if I can deliver this in 6 months, I need to know that I'm going to return that investment that I've made. And so if I can, just keep it very simple. It's not this simple, but if I can make 2 turns of every dollar investment in a single year, then
you're doubling the profit.
I'm doubling the profit. So yes, I can take less margin percentage and still make more money for the company, yet serve the government's needs much more directly. Now, he looked at me and he smiled and goes, "Well, that's easier said than done." And I said, "I know. I mean, it really is because our ecosystem, our contracting system is set up to operate a certain way, and it's not that agile. But there is the good news is there is progress being made in these areas, not at the speed that anyone would like, but there is progress out there.
That makes sense. Well, it's not too dissimilar from recruiting. I don't want a 6-month search. Our average is less than 30 days for that reason.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
well, by the way, we don't want 6 month searches either. We want the best talent as quickly as we can get them and get them on board fast. So again, there's that mutual thing that we both want. How do we make it happen?
yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned the market trend involving speed, speed to quote, speed to delivery. What other market trend are you seeing right now that execs should be prepped for?
Yeah. Look, I think the easiest thing to talk about is technology. So I won't talk about that. I mean, obviously, innovation on the technology side is very critical. I talk, customers all the time are looking for that capability that will put them ahead of their competition,
The secret
or
sauce.
yeah, that secret sauce. Or if you think at the United States government level, what's going to put us ahead of our peers in the defense world, and then at the commercial level, what's going to ensure that the United States maintains its position as that innovation leader for the world. I would say though that this talent, kind of conversation is something that we have to think about for the future. And speed is important, but talent development, that mindset change that talent needs, particularly at the leadership level, I think is one of the most critical things that we focus on here at Frontgrade. And being a private equity owned company, speed matters more to private equity than anything else. So it's a good match for what we need in with respect to our customers, but it takes a different type of talent to really think through that. So that talent development piece is another thing that the ecosystem must get better at. We must be more, again, same thing as on our products. We must take a little bit more risk on people who maybe not have, check every particular box that we're looking for, but are open, that are resilient, that that understand that cultural changes are common and are going to happen and are going to continue to evolve, and they've got to fit into that construct for the betterment of the company. And then this ideal of risk. I mean, I do not go through one interview today with talent, whether it's internal talent or external talent that we're recruiting, that I do not spend a good deal of time trying to assess their ability to be resilient with respect to risk, and their mindsets around that. It's easy to say, "Oh yeah, I'll take risk. I'll take those sort of chances to be able to have an outsized share of the market." But there's another piece to that to say, how would you demonstrate that? How do you do that? And how do you look at your career in the context of taking more risk? So look, that's a non-traditional answer for that question, but I really do. I mean, I worry more about talent than I do anything else in the organization right now. We have very innovative engineers. We have very great capability. We have good technology. We have great manufacturing facilities across the United States and internationally. It really comes down to how do you bring the talent to bear that can drive the changes that are needed, because the change is only going to continue, and it's going to be more accelerated as we move down this path. And to accelerate, we need that talent.
hmm So you mentioned in terms of the talent needs, resiliency and an appetite for risk. In terms of the type of talent that keeps you up at night, where's do you see the biggest opportunity for growth, particularly for somebody coming into the industry?
Yeah. Um, Look, engineering is always something that we focus on here, and we hear about it a lot in the U.S. where we don't have enough of the STEM capabilities coming out of our educational systems. That is where I worry the most. I'm back to at the CEO level. And look, our engineering departments and our engineering leadership, they have to manage all those things, and we talk about it all the time. It's a focus. But I'm back to this leadership equation. And where are the opportunities there? I mean, when I got out of the military, one of my mentors, I was struggling with what am I really going to do? I mean, I have capabilities. I'm confident in my abilities,
Yeah.
but
What did you want to be when you grew
yeah,
up? Right.
and his number one thing to me was he looked at me and he said, Mitch, it's leadership. It's leadership. You know, forget your technical capabilities, forget your program management capabilities, forget, your ability to lead large teams. It really is about overall leadership and decision making. That is the area that I think we have the most opportunity for. And look, I'm back to within my own leadership team. I'll just be, very honest. We struggle at times with making decisions. We're unsure, and part of this is on the CEO. Part of this is on me. On clarity on where and when people can make decisions, and it's oversimplified in my mind. I'm like, hey, look, go make the decision. Feel empowered, go do it. On the other hand, we have a lot of process and a lot of bureaucracy that people are cautious about making decisions.
Investors.
Yeah. I mean, yes, all of those things that you have to worry about. But what we need, and the biggest opportunity, if you really want to be successful in industry today, is focus on your leadership abilities. And I'm I'm a little bit of an academic, particularly in
Well,
this,
Dr.
yeah,
Stevenson.
particularly in this area of organizational development. I've studied a lot of spent time reading books and all of those things around leadership, theories and leadership capabilities. And, you can go from transactional to transformational and even transcendent kind of leadership theories. I'm one that really believes that leaders have to be very oriented towards the situation. And, that's a contingency leadership theory. Every type of contingency or every situation requires a little bit different leader. So yes, at times you have to be willing to be transactional. You have to be willing to say, I'm going to do this for that. But at times you need to be more transformational and look at where you're trying to take the business to in your decisional process. If you come across as a leader in industry today as just very stovepopped into, I'm going to be transactional in how I do things. I'm going to give you better pay if you stay. I'm going to incentivize you if you do more sales. Those things are necessary. Right? I mean, they're absolutely necessary, but they're not sufficient to be a leader in the organization. The teams need to see you willing to take risk if you want the organization to take risk. The teams need to see you, in a contingency where a customer is upset because there's lack of performance in a particular area. And believe me, we're doing cutting edge technology. There's always going to be challenges there. If they don't see you willing to get in front of that and jump in, and there's various degrees of that. You don't want to be seen as a micromanager all the time, but, take some pressure off of them from what they're hearing from a customer, and then commit the company to do something for that customer more than, just we're going to fix your problem. And so those are the sort of things that I think that are the biggest opportunities. If leaders embrace that, I know I can't speak for other CEOs, but I talk to a lot of other CEOs, and I can tell you, as for me, I'm going to advance people in the organization who are in that kind of mindset of, I'm willing to take some risk, but I trust you that you're going to be the leader that I need in doing that moving forward.
Yeah. Read the room, understand what's needed in terms of leadership qualities, and then take action.
Absolutely.
Mhm. All right. So if you're listening to this, you can't see what's behind Mitch. Tell me what's behind you. Is that the PhD?
That is the PhD. Or a picture of it. That was blown up that my family did for me. After I did that, and look, I'm an inquisitive person. I believe that lifelong learning is who we have to be as leaders and executives. Um, my reason for getting a PhD, I'll be perfectly honest with you. If I had to do it over, I probably wouldn't, because it was a
Really?
lot of it was a lot of work. And but I'm better for it because of the study that required, the reading that required, the writing skills it helped develop. But even more than that, the process of getting a PhD, you're under the gun a lot to defend your positions, and
When I feel like you had so much practical knowledge, must have through the Army, that you'd be a pretty unique student. going through a PhD program. Did you have the most hands-on leadership experience of your peers?
Yeah. I mean, I would say, although there were two or three of us. I mean, so my PhD, I did actually part of it while I was in the military, and then really when I got out of the military is when I focused on my dissertation and getting through all of that. So yes, but there were some other military people that were actually in the program with me because this was a military sponsored kind of program, and so it was good. But I come back to, you know, I I put my energy into the academics that I pursue based on what is interesting to me, not necessarily what I thought I needed from my career. You know, my undergraduate degree, is in the physics area. So I had that technical piece when I was in the military, and I became a research and development officer. There was a period there where they wanted people that had technical undergraduates to go do business master's degrees. So you had that full spectrum of business and technical. And then, as I started leading at higher levels, this whole area of organizational, constructs or organizational development, efficiency, effectiveness. And that's what I spent my time in my doctoral on. So a very eclectic academic background. There was no three, each of my degrees really weren't dependent upon the other. But it was an interesting process to try to kind of go from that basic learning of technical capabilities all the way up to big organizational constructs that motivated me and drove my career to where it is today.
Yeah, definitely a lot of research behind your leadership philosophy too. We talked about mentorship, and previously you said, "Hey, the best advice I ever got was seek to run to every troubled program." How has embracing that challenge shaped your leadership approach, particularly in the space sector?
Yeah, look, I would tell you that that was the single most important thing in my industry career that I was told. And the exact words were,
Chase dumpster fires.
yeah, the exact words were, seek to run every red program or troubled program. And then the next sentence was, because you probably are not going to make it any worse. And if you make it better, you're going to be seen as a hero. So it's that mindset which has really formulated my career. You know, Particularly the formative parts of my career. Tom Kennedy at Raytheon, when I was interviewing for, kind of moved from the executive ranks to the senior executive ranks in Raytheon. He used to have a saying all the time, and he actually mentioned it to me when I was going through the interview process to move into this executive, senior executive leadership role in Raytheon. He just said, "We don't pick people that don't have scars on their back." We don't pick people for these roles that don't have scars on their back. So it was his way of saying that when you get into that senior executive, area, those tough experiences are what really you're going to have to rely on when you are leading big portfolios and multiple
That's where your grit is.
programs.
Mhm.
That's where your grit is, and that's where you earn your ability to compete for those senior executive jobs. And so, again, that was the best piece of advice. And with respect to the space world, that is the environment we live in today. I mean, it really is. The space world is changing so much. A few years ago, it was all about the most exquisite solutions that we could provide that would be up in space for 20 to 30 years, and now it's about speed. And now that context is increasing competitive nature of the space world. It's increasing the speed which our customers need greatly. It's doing so much, for us, but it's requiring, us to take that risk and be resilient and be at the forefront of what the ecosystem is demanding today. So how do you go faster, take costs down, be innovative, drive capabilities for the customers faster than anyone else in the ecosystem? Those are very difficult constructs, and if you really haven't developed yourself to be someone who has managed and led a lot of hard things early in your career, and you've shirked away from those areas where, maybe my head is a little above the cut line here, you're not going to be able to handle the pressure that's going to come from leading in the space industry today.
Absolutely. Well, before I let you leave, a lot of us in industry are headed to Space Symposium April 7th to 10th. Will we get to see you in front grade there?
Absolutely. The Space Symposium is our biggest show of the year. So we will be there with presence from every part of the company. Our international leaders will be there. Each of our leaders from across the United States will be there. I will spend all of my time there during that Space Symposium. And look, there is so much to be garnered from the Space Symposium. It really is the space ecosystem's, I think, most meaningful
What are you most excited to see?
Look, I'm always one that wants to listen to what the operational leaders are saying. While our business does have a lot of commercial content, and there will be the commercial providers there, we're still 2/3 defense, and so our national security. I'll just put it in that context. So I'm always most interested in what is on the mind as the priorities from those leaders from government that will speak at the conference. And then, there's always things that, you just walk around and you see on from a competitive standpoint and from a technology standpoint that is interesting, because the other thing we haven't talked about here today is partnership is key in whatever happens in the future of space. No one company is going to be the solution set that is going to drive us to be what we need to be in space with respect to national security or even our commercial capabilities that every part of the ecosystem today demands that space is there at every moment of every day, whether it's communications or GPS or anything else of that nature. Those things are there, and you can really see what's happening in the ecosystem. I love my time there to spend with customers too. I mean, there's nowhere else that we go that I can literally touch every customer we have in a matter of 2 or 3 days. It's just
Everybody's
right
there.
Everybody's there. And look, the European, we support the European Space Agency from our facility in Sweden. They're a great partner for us in developing capabilities that we couldn't develop ourselves. They're going to be there. So the director of the European Space Agency, you'll see leaders from NASA, and where I was a little concerned given some of the governmental directives about not traveling. Actually just spoke to Heather Pringle a couple of days ago, who is the CEO of the space help me.
I think that's the reservation a lot of people have had. Hey, who's going to show up with the directives here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she told me that actually, because I asked her that question. I said, what should we expect? And she said, look, don't worry about it. The Space Operations Command has made this mission essential for their employees that that they attend, because of the same reasons that we in industry want to be there. They want their people to be there to see what the opportunities are to accelerate things that they're working on. And so, she gave me very high confidence that this was going to be one of the most well-attended space symposiums ever. So, look, we're looking forward to it. We're actually, just as kind of maybe a teaser, we at Frontgrade are going to roll out our new kind of strategy and how we're thinking about things. We're going to share a little bit of our product roadmap, and it's a big opportunity for us to really talk about what's different about Frontgrade. Where we are moving much more back to that commercial mindset and everything that we do, and we want our words to be words that people can rely on, just like our products. And so we're going to roll it out. We're going to spend some time doing that at the Space Symposium, including an event that we'll host on Tuesday night at our booth, where we're going to share in these
the big
things.
reveal.
The big reveal, yeah. And again, we're not gonna take up people's time, but we are going to at least let them know what we're doing and how we are differentiating ourselves in the ecosystem.
All right. Well, you heard it first. Check out Mitch's booth there at Space Symposium. I'll see you there April 7th.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you there in person.
Thanks, Mitch.
Yep. Thank you.